Welcome back to BRMC's Healthy Connections with our special guest today, Dr. Tom Foster and Deb Way from Hensley Behavioral Health Unit located in the Baxter Regional Medical Center. And we've been talking about the various group structures and how the groups, those that are more higher functioning. And I had not ever thought about that, about coming back into the private section or back home.
Right.
Stumbling over my words today. But when somebody is going to be discharged, and let me go back a step. What's the normal length of stay?
Oh, right now we're running about 10, 11 days.
Okay.
And and then they prepare then to go home. If you're going back into a long-term care facility, then how we prepare you for that is, we start talking about returning to, your home environment. And there they have all the supportive things they need. But if you're talking to someone who's going to be going back home, and maybe they've only been a widow or a widower for a year or less, and the children are still working, they're adult children, but they're working, you have to look at how do you spend your time, how do you structure your own self when you go home, and how do you get back in the swing of things. I encourage people all the time to, reach out to your church families, of course, because that's tremendous support. There's all kinds of organizations, the Senior Citizen Center, things of that nature, Meals on Wheels if it's necessary. But you have to talk about going back home when they come into the hospital and Dr. Foster does his assessment and evaluation and determines what medications may help this individual. Going back home, they're not going home with, I hate to use the word healed, but they're going home stable. But mental health issues are issues that usually you deal with your whole life.
Sure.
So, the signs and the symptoms, and we talk about these things, and we talk about ways to cope with this. We had a lady not too terribly long ago on the unit who had lost a child, and I've also lost a child. And one of the things that I shared with her is that I journal. And it's a way for me to get out what I need to get out. And it's safe, and no one has to read it.
Right.
And if I wrote something that just totally upsets me, I can burn it. It's a way to help yourself to heal. And the medications and the interventions that Dr. Foster brings is a tremendous value to this, but it's also the individual has a role of what they can do to help themselves as they deal with the issues in their lives. And our groups are all designed for that, and even as something as simple as picking out your menu becomes a nutritional kind of thing. Yes, I've got to tell you, when I'm really feeling stressed, I'll have chocolate cake and ice cream and everything else I can get. That's really not healthy. So, we help them look at options and choices and choose things that are better for us.
And what a great resource to be able to let people know. Number one, you're not alone.
No.
There are other people that have gone through what you've gone through. There are groups that you could probably be very comfortable in and with. Transportation can be overcome. I mean, there's just a multitude of resources within our community. And it's always wonderful when you can make that match so that you don't just feel like you're sending them out into the cold, cruel world, but they really do have a helping hand so that's there to help them. It's got to be a great feeling when this happens. It's hard to let them go, though, isn't it, sometimes?
Sometimes.
You just want to be so protective. What other, we've mentioned dementias, we've mentioned depression. What else might you be dealing with up on the Hensley Behavioral Health Unit?
Well, sometimes, essentially, we can treat any psychiatric disorders that a geriatric patient or an adult would have. So that includes things like bipolar disorder, things like schizophrenia. These are less common on our unit just because they're not as common in the geriatric population as, for instance, dementias. but we certainly treat those as well, and we do have patients from time to time with those particular problems.
Probably that were diagnosed in their 20s, that kind of thing, and just.
But not always.
Yeah.
Sometimes they can come on in later age.
Later ages.
Yeah.
How late? No, I'm just kidding.
One other thing that we do treat is substance abuse problems and alcohol problems. Typically, patients aren't admitted to us just because of those problems, but we do see a lot of comorbidity, which means that they have, some other problem, oftentimes depression or anxiety, along with the substance abuse and the alcohol problems.
Is it enough time to help them with the 10 or 12 days that are there? It'll get them maybe on the right track.
Right. So, like she mentioned, our goal is to try and stabilize them to the point where they're safe to leave the unit, and we do our best to make sure that when they do leave, that we make sure that they have some sort of an outpatient follow-up plan. Because, like she said, these are long-term problems, and we want to make sure that when they leave, that they do continue to improve.
That's one of the areas that I know must be very frustrating, because we don't have a lot of resources in that particular arena available to us in the state. Just where are they? That's hard.
We do send people out to, like, the Center for Individual and Family Development. We're very fortunate out there to have a drug and alcohol certified counselor. And so we have an avenue, and we're trying to do this, but again, it goes back to the patient and their ownership and their willingness to be involved. And we also give them the 800 number to AA to find local resources.
Because initially it's up to them. They have to make to want the change.
And they need a peer support person for dealing with a long-term use issue.
Right. And we've seen success stories with our First Step program that stabilizes when someone's truly ready to come in and go through the medical withdrawal.
Right.
So, we certainly have seen success there. But it just seems as though we have to send people so far out in the state or into other states to get more treatment. So.
Yes, especially if it's going to be an inpatient thing for drug and alcohol. There's nothing local.
No.
And that is.
But we can work on that.
Yeah, we
can.
This
great community, we can work on that. I think that would be another great thing for us to move forward here and help those that need the help. What else can you tell us about? We've gotten through most of the day, but not all of the day. That after folks are in group sessions, and you've got the families coming in on Tuesdays and Thursdays, which that's marvelous to be able to educate everyone. And then what's going on in the afternoons usually?
And well, in the afternoon they will have like recreational group, or we'll do an exercise group. Then we'll prepare for dinner, and then after dinner families come again from 6 to 7. And after the families leave at 7, then we have a wrap-up session. One of the things that we do very early in the day is what is your goal for today? What do you want to work on? Because I think it's really important that patients feel they're heard, and that what they think is the problem is what we need to look at too. So we'll wrap that up, and then we'll start preparing for the quieter times in the evening. Some people read, some people watch TV. That's also a time sometimes when people want to be alone. They'll sit in the day room, but you'll find them being very quiet. I think at some point everybody reflects on what they've done during the day. And then
It's very beneficial.
It is. Yes. And I've worked the evenings a couple of times just so I get to know the routine and see how things operated. And then we start assisting people with, preparing for bed. Some people go to bed early, some people go to bed a little later, so then you just You know, you just make sure that you're where you need to be to help the person.
I always feel so bad, but just an aside, for the night owls in life.
Yes,
you know,
yes.
Our structure is you're going to get up early. So.
Really, really.
And their circadian rhythms are going, no, I don't want you. But we get them up. So.
Yeah, but I will tell you, we do make exceptions to our early morning. Instead of ordering a hot breakfast, if we know you're a night owl and you're going to sleep in, we will get you a cold breakfast, or cereal and a roll or whatever.
So you do
Let you
accommodate.
sleep.
I love it.
We do. Let you sleep till 8:30, and because if that's what you've done your whole life, you know, now's not a time to change.
Change that pattern. Absolutely not. What a delight to have you both here today. I know that you've certainly educated the community about Hensley Behavioral Health, and we've gotten to meet Dr. Foster. And Deb, will you come back, both of you, and see us again on another show?
Of course.
Let us know what else is going on. All right. Thank you for joining us today for BRMC's Healthy Connections, and we'll see you again next week.